The third time's supposed to be the charm. It's supposed to work, but it's not going to work this time either. Is there anybody like that that's just so tenacious in their faith? Let's just call it something just so hard-headed you're not going to quit, or you're not going to give up or give out prematurely, but you're going to get where God is taking you. Amen. I'm not concerned with just me getting what I'm getting. I want you to get it too. Man, I want us to go forward together in so much power that nothing can stop us. And the only way we're ever going to do that is if we can break the mindset off of our life that it's somebody else's fault, that we are the victim in everything, that people should feel sorry for us for what we've been through, that people should help us because life owes us something because life just been so hard forever. I promise you, if you would walk around and hear some of the testimonies of some of these people, it amazed me yesterday as we walked and handed some Gatorade into the door of a woman who said, last night I was going to blow my brains out. I know that's graphic, but it's true. She said, I was going to commit suicide. She said, I was just at the end of my rope. And I said, God, if you really hear me, send somebody to my house. And the very next day, here comes somebody with some drinks and a card with some service times on. You can't tell me that God's not in that. You can't tell me that God's not trying to take a woman and get her out of her mindset of feeling so sorry that she has to end her life. But God sent 3 men to knock on her door to say, guess what? There's hope for tomorrow. Stand on your own 2 feet. And if God could do that into a woman that was so sorry on herself, she wanted to end her life, how much better do you have it? Now here you got a nice seat you're sitting in today. Lunch is taken care of free of charge. All you had to do is show up. How much better do you have it today? Yes. I'm really trying to hurry. It's 11:39. I promise you gave me to 12, we're going to quit. Yeah, I'll act like you don't believe me in that. I see you smiling back there, Alan. Come back there and get you. I'll do it. I'll do it. There's my bodyguard, by the way, him and Mark back there. Got to watch both of them. I've seen Mark in the gym. I ain't messing with him. That's the truth. He works out a little more than 14 years, Scooter. And Scooter hits it once every 14 years. You hit it once every 14 hours. All right. Paul was in a place, he gets to the fire, the snake comes out, and it attaches itself to his hand. Now, here's where Psalms chapter 1 comes into play. Because the people around him, the barbarians, worshipped a God called justice. Smile with me. And the God that they worshiped, they believed that whatever happened to you in life was in direct relation to something that you did. It's called justice. We have a thing called the justice system. And in case you've never been part of it, basically you are penalized through the penal system for the crimes that you commit. It's called justice. They worshiped a God called justice. And they looked at Paul and said, evidently this man was a murderer because he escaped the sea, but justice showed his vengeance, and now he will die. Trick question. It's easy to defend when people are talking about you in a negative way, and it's not true. But the fact was, Paul was a murderer. Paul had built his life and his career on murdering Christians. This was the man that held the coats of the men that stoned Stephen, the first martyr in the Bible. This was the man that persecuted Christians and would hang them upside down on crosses and chop their head off and burn them at the stake and do all kinds of horrible. This was the murderous man. Has anybody ever said something about you that you really did? Wow. Whole different ball game right there. What do you do when what people said about you, you did? That's tough. Think about it for a second. Hard to overcome that one. The whole issue, though, was that Paul had an experience in between that time and now where he committed his life to God. And he said, will you forget my past, God, and help me find my future? And God said, I would. The difficult part is anytime you begin to break the victim mentality, you're always going to have those people that, because everyone believes life is supposed to make sense. And it's a really great fairy tale to think that you can wrap your mind around and understand everything that happens in your life. But the reality of it is, some things just happen not because of what you did, but because of who you are. Because there's a greater force fighting you than justice. There's a greater force fighting you than vengeance. And that force knows that if you ever break out of the mindset of feeling sorry for yourself and step into who you really are, and that's a person of power, that you can do things that would absolutely upset the kingdom of darkness in such a way, they might as well just throw in the towel and give up. So the enemy knows this in mind, so he will send people your way. And watch this. This was the same people that were being so kind to him. When problems arose, began to point out and say, well, you're just evil. Well, you just had an affair. Well, you're just a sinner. Well, you cuss all the time. You've got a drinking problem. God can't use you because you smoke cigarettes day and night. All these, I know that hits close to home. God can't use you because you're divorced. And it's just like, and isn't it amazing? Because usually it's the people that's closest to you that are trying to help you that say the most hurtful things. And this time, here's Paul, and this is the thing that amazes me. He knew about the storm and the shipwreck, but he didn't know about the snake. What do you do when you're blindsided by something? Because you could pray and get the discernment, but things are going to be difficult. But what do you do when you get through the difficulties and you feel like things are picking up, and then something hits you so hard that affects you so close that the venom begins to flow through your life and suck the life out of you, and you begin to lose all hope? Has anybody ever been there? What happens when you're blindsided by something? Here comes all those people that were with you before now saying, pointing fingers, well, you only got that because you deserved it. There's no way you can be faithful to church. You can't even be faithful to your spouse. There's no way that you could ever be a man or woman of God, because I knew who you used to be. I grew up with you. I saw all the things we got into together. Isn't it just like the people that's supposed to be so kind that can say things that are so hurtful? And that's where Psalms chapter 1 comes into play, because we can't walk in the counsel of the ungodly. What happened in Paul's life? God forgave his past, and when he said, God, do you remember what I did? God said, I have no remembrance of it whatsoever. That is not you. In other words, what you did is not who you are. Just because you did it does not mean that you are it. But if the case of the matter was, when I got saved, that everything that happened before I got saved was coming back to haunt me in my new life, then what did I really get saved from? The very word saved means I got saved from the mess, and I got a message for it. I got saved from all the trials and the troubles and the tribulations, and God gave me a new life, that all those things are passed away, and behold, today is a new day. So Paul is faced with a decision that all of us are faced with. In the midst of adversity, are we going to listen to the people that's criticizing us? Are we going to put faith in the words of those that criticize this church? Are we going to put faith in those that's supposed to be there to help us, but in our time of deepest need have turned their back on us and want to say justice has prevailed? I want to just go ahead and tell somebody, thank God for the blood of Jesus, because justice should have kept us all from being here. We should have been born a stillborn, died in the car wreck, died in a miscarriage. Something should have happened to us, but we are here by the grace of God, because his grace was sufficient. Even though sin abounded, grace therefore much more abounded, because we once were lost, but now we're found. And somebody in here I know was blind, maybe not in the natural, but in your life you had no vision, and now I believe you can see. So what did Paul do? In verse 5 it said he shook it off. He shook it off. And this is where it gets difficult, because nobody wants to do any shaking anymore. Why? Because we're educated now. And we've got nicer clothes than we used to. And we have arrived. And we've lost the ability to, when it comes in, to say, you know what? There's some things I just got to lay off. I just got to throw some things off. I just got to start shaking some things off. I do this because y'all never know what I'm going to do. And that keeps you interested, doesn't it? You've got to shake some things off. You've got to throw off, it says it like this, cast aside every sin, every weight that would easily beset you. Anything that would get you out of balance, get rid of it. Cast it off. Shake it off. And guess what? You can't, somebody else can't shake it off for you. You've got to shake it off. It amazes me that Paul shook it off and went on back to doing what he was doing, and didn't allow the negative behavior, the negative comments, the negativity of those around him to affect him. Can I show you something about shaking it off? One of my favorite toys as a kid, a little punching bag thing here. And you don't even know how the devil's attacked the skit this morning. This thing's got a hole in it somewhere. I hope it even works. I done blew till I was blue in the face. My dad blew till he was blue in the face. I blew again till I was blue in the face. At least he's standing here. Point of the matter is, this is the greatest example of Paul to me. And not because it's got Superman and Batman on it, the Justice League. Isn't that coincidental? We're talking about justice. This is the Justice League. It amazes me how simple this thing works. When you knock it over, it comes right back up. Wasn't that big? Was that too deep? You knock it over and it comes right back up. It blows me away. This is a physical representation of someone who's a victor. The reason it bounces back, and watch this, the harder you hit it, the quicker it comes back up. I just love doing that. That's still fun to do to this day. I can just do that all day long. It's fun. I guess I'm just simple-minded, a child at heart, but that's all right. Do you love me anyway? I didn't get no amens, but it's all right. I'm going to hit it again. The reason this thing works is because